get ready to put on your best suit. Today we're going to dive into the world of courtroom dramas.
Ah, I love it.
We have a ranking, the best films in the genre, straight from YouTube. Cool! Let's find out what makes these films so fascinating.
Courtroom dramas. It's that mix of suspense and intelligence, and the eternal battle between truth and justice, right? At least the version of justice that appears in court.
This list has it all. Classics, more recent films, comedies, heavy dramas. Let's start our journey with My Cousin Vinny, which came in 7th place in the ranking.
My Cousin Vinny? I find it interesting how this movie manages to be a successful comedy, right? Within a genre that's usually serious. His humor isn't silly, you know? He uses the contrast between the seriousness of the murder case and Vinny's totally out-of-place demeanor, that New York accent, and the lack of experience.
And Marisa Tomei, with her award-winning performance, adds another layer of humor to the film. Who would have thought that a movie about a murder trial could make us laugh so much? Do you think this kind of humor would work in any courtroom drama?
Good question. I think the success of My Cousin Vinny lies in that delicate balance, you know. The humor never diminishes the seriousness of the situation for the accused, but it provides relief and focus, which makes the film more engaging.
True. Speaking of movies that balance different elements, Anatomy of a Murder, which is in 6th place on the list, is a master at that, right? It mixes drama, psychological suspense, and philosophical questions about the nature of truth.
Yeah, this movie is a classic for a reason.
True.
The director, Otto Preminger, weaves a complex web exploring the perspectives of the lawyer, the defendant, and the victim. Yes, and in the end we find ourselves wondering what really happened. Yeah, and who's manipulating whom?
Exactly. Anatomy of a Murder reminds us that truth can be subjective, right? Especially in the courtroom, where perception and persuasion can be just as important as the facts.
That's why good courtroom dramas are so intriguing. They force us to confront the complexity of justice and realize that sometimes there are no easy answers.
And Kramer vs. Kramer, in 5th place, is another example of that. He swaps the crime arena for a family drama, showing how divorce impacts a couple, and, most importantly, their child.
And the most interesting thing is that the movie doesn't take sides. It presents the pain and motivations of both Ted, the father who needs to adapt to single parenthood, and Joanna, the mother who is searching for her own identity.
True. And the performances by Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep are breathtaking. They manage to convey the emotional complexity of the characters in a raw and honest way.
Absolutely. And even though the movie is from 1979, the themes it addresses, the division of responsibilities, the fight for custody of the children, are still relevant today, right?
Totally. Speaking of timeless themes, we arrive at Primal Fear, 4th place. This movie explores the dark side of the human mind with top-notch psychological suspense.
Yeah, and what a remarkable debut for Edward Norton, right?
That's right.
He plays a young man accused of murder who supposedly suffers from dissociative identity disorder. Do you remember what your reaction was when you watched this movie for the first time?
I remember being completely shocked by the twists. Primal Fear is one of those movies that makes you doubt everything and everyone. And the ending is mind-blowing.
Primal Fear questions our ability to judge by appearances, right?
Yes.
And it reminds us that the truth can be hidden in the deep layers of the human psyche.
Yeah, and besides making us question everything, it also has amazing performances, especially from Richard Gere and Edward Norton, who steals the show right in his first role in film.
Undoubtedly. Primitive Fear is an example of how courtroom dramas can go beyond the trial itself, diving into psychological issues and exploring the fragility of the human mind.
That's true. And now, get ready to step into the rigid and challenging world of military justice, The Few Good Men, which took 3rd place on the list.
A Few Good Men needs no introduction. Who doesn't remember the epic showdown between Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson? Sharp dialogues, intense performances, and that eternal question, how far does loyalty to a system that might be wrong go?
It's fascinating how the movie puts us right in the middle of this moral dilemma. You find yourself questioning what you would do in Tom Cruise's character's shoes. Defend the truth, even if it means challenging your superiors and putting your career at risk.
That's right. A Few Good Men goes beyond the trial itself. It explores the conflicts between duty, honor, and justice, themes that resonate with the audience even today, decades after its release.
True. And coming in 2nd place, we have a film that made a mark for its courage and sensitivity. Philadelphia.
A powerful and necessary film. Philadelphia tackles themes like prejudice, discrimination, and the fight for equal rights at a time when talking about AIDS was taboo. And Tom Hanks's performance is just devastating, right?
Wow.
Conveying the pain and strength of the character in an unforgettable way.
And Denzel Washington is also brilliant as the lawyer who needs to confront his own prejudices to defend Andrew Beckett, Tom Hanks's character. It's a film that touches us deeply and makes us reflect on the importance of empathy and the fight for social justice.
Philadelphia is a landmark in the history of cinema, isn't it?
Yes.
Not just as a courtroom drama, but as a film that opened doors for important discussions about human rights and equality.
Absolutely. And finally, reach the top of the podium, the number one spot on our list, The Rainmaker.
What a film! Directed by the master, Francis Ford Coppola, and starring Matt Damon. The Rainmaker is the story of an idealistic young lawyer who takes on a powerful insurance company. It's the classic David versus Goliath struggle, with an extra dose of emotion and suspense.
It's impossible to root for Rudy Baylor, Matt Damon's character. He represents hope and persistence in a system that's often unfair.
And the movie makes us believe that, yes, it's possible to fight against giants and win even when the odds seem slim.
What a journey, huh? We've already gone through comedy, psychological thriller, family drama,
Is that true?
and much more.
And there you go. Another point for more legal action. The list goes on. We still have 3 films that, even though they're not in the top 7, bring super interesting elements to the conversation.
Yes, and since we were talking about the fight against giants, A Time to Kill, which came in 8th place, fits perfectly.
That's true.
He places the racial issue at the center of the drama, showing the complexity of the search for justice in a social context marked by prejudice.
A Time to Kill is one of those movies that grabs you by the collar and doesn't let go until the end. We follow the trial of Carly Haley, father who decides to take justice into his own hands after his daughter is brutally raped.
Wow, his situation is heartbreaking. And the movie doesn't hold back, no? Showing the harsh reality of racism and how it impacts the judicial system.
Yeah, exactly. The cast is impressive, right? McConaughey defends Carl Lee Jackson. Jackson playing the father in search of justice. It's impossible not to get emotionally involved with this story.
It really is impossible. And speaking of heavyweight performances, Devil's Advocate, which came in 9th place, has Al Pacino playing the devil himself.
And the way he's in that role is hypnotizing. We know he's the devil, but his performance is so charismatic that you almost root for him.
That's true. The plot of The Devil's Advocate is fascinating. A young, ambitious lawyer, played by Keanu Reeves, is seduced by power and success, not realizing he's getting involved with dark forces.
A powerful allegory about unchecked ambition and the temptations that can lead us off the ethical path. And the movie uses the courtroom drama genre to explore this theme in an intelligent and engaging way.
And the visuals of the movie are also striking. Grand scenes, special effects that were impressive at the time, and still hold the audience's attention today.
Undoubtedly, The Devil's Advocate makes us think, how far would we go to achieve our goals? What lines would we be willing to cross? It's a question that resonates in many other films of the genre.
And finally, we arrive at a firm, which wraps up the list in 10th place. It takes us into the dark and competitive world of big law firms, showing how the pursuit of success can corrupt even the most idealistic.
The Firm is a suspense thriller that keeps you hooked from start to finish. Tom Cruise plays a young lawyer who, dazzled by the opportunity to work at a prestigious firm, ends up getting involved in crimes and conspiracies.
I remember when I watched this movie, I kept thinking about the price of ambition. Is it worth sacrificing your values and principles to achieve success?
These are important questions, right? And The Firm makes us confront them in a visceral way. The movie shows the dark side of the corporate world, where ethics are often set aside in the name of profit and power.
And Gene Hackman's performance as the firm's mysterious mentor is simply fantastic. He creates an ambiguous character that leaves you wondering if he's an ally or a threat.
Definitely. And The Firm, just like the other films we've discussed today, shows us how the courtroom drama genre can be used to explore different facets of society, human nature, and the complex power dynamics that surround us.
Our journey through courtroom dramas continues to be exciting. We're looking forward to themes like racism, ambition, ethics, and the ongoing quest for justice.
And the coolest part is seeing how each film uses the elements of the genre in a unique way, right? Creating stories that captivate us, make us think, and often leave us with more questions than answers.
That's true. And we've reached the final part of our deep dive into courtroom dramas. We've analyzed amazing films with stories that took us from humor to social critique through psychological suspense and ethical dilemmas. And now
we're swapping the robe for the microscope. Let's analyze what makes this genre so captivating, right? Why does it keep us glued to our seats from start to finish?
good analogy. I think one of the reasons is the ability to transform something that is theoretically technical and cold, like a legal system, into a stage for intense emotions.
True. Courtroom dramas manage to create an atmosphere of suspense and tension that keeps you glued to the screen. Right. It's like you're inside the courtroom, feeling the pressure of the trial, the explanation of the verdict, the uncertainty of the character's fate.
And we get so involved, the stories with the characters, that we root for them as if they were real people, even knowing it's all fiction.
And that identification is Essential. Courtroom dramas, at their core, explore the eternal struggle between right and wrong, right,
Yes.
the just and the unjust. And that puts us in a constant dilemma. Which side are we on? Who deserves our compassion? What would we do? Similar situations.
It's like we're in the jury, you know? Having to analyze the evidence, weigh the arguments, and make a decision. And this active participation, even if just mentally, makes us a part of the drama.
Exactly. And we can't forget the fundamental role of suspense, right? Good courtroom dramas know how to build narrative tension, revealing information little by little, planting doubts, creating twists that make you question everything you thought you knew.
It's like a puzzle that gradually comes together, and each piece revealed brings us closer to the truth. It can also lead us down a completely different path than we imagined.
That's true. And the soundtrack also contributes to that atmosphere of suspense, right?
The music, the sound effects, everything carefully chosen to heighten attention, create impactful moments, taking you from laughter to tears in seconds.
That's true. And speaking of emotion, I think that's another key to the success of courtroom dramas. The ability to connect with the characters on a deep emotional level.
For sure. The stories, even though they take place in a specific setting like a courtroom, tackle universal themes, right? Love, loss, betrayal, ambition, redemption. Feelings that all of us have experienced at some point in our lives.
And good screenwriters can translate those feelings into powerful dialogues, memorable scenes, and complex characters that captivate us and make us reflect on our own humanity.
And this combination of elements, suspense, emotion, universal themes, memorable performances, that's what makes courtroom dramas such a rich and enduring genre.
True. Courtroom dramas aren't just about showing trials. They invite us to reflect on society, on justice, on our own moral compass.
And that's the beauty of this genre. It entertains us, moves us, and makes us think, all at the same time.
And so we come to the end of our journey through courtroom dramas.
That's true.
I hope we've inspired you to revisit your favorite films in the genre or to discover new stories, right? Yes. And they'll make you question everything you thought you knew about the law, justice, and human nature.
And remember, the next time you sit down to watch a courtroom drama, don't just be a passive spectator. Get in the game. Analyze the evidence, form your own opinion, and get ready to be surprised by the twists of fate. After all, in the world of courtroom dramas, nothing is what it seems. Until next time.